Resilient You with Alicia Pisani, resilience expert, mental health advocate, and behavior specialist, aiming to help people to live more fulfilled lives. Have you been through challenges? Have you come out on top of a situation that you knew you just had to get out of? Or maybe you were in a situation and needed help. Maybe you didn't know that you could ask for help. Maybe you didn't accept help. Join us as we meet with special guests who will help us to become more emotionally strong. Thank you for joining Resilient You with Alicia Pisani, the place where we talk about how to build your resilience and have special guests join us each week. This week, we're going to talk about building resilience and skills that can help improve your mental and physical health. You might think of being resilient as recovering from a traumatic injury or something that you go through, and that's partially what it is, but it's the ability to adapt or recover from challenges. It could be daily stresses to those major traumatic events. It's an important skill, and it's a trait that can really anyone can develop. We have many ways we can work on this. The common one is developing an optimistic outlook. People often say, "Oh, I just don't think about that. I do something else," right? And doing something else can help you get past it temporarily. Other people, they practice self-compassion, right? So they're kind to themselves, and maybe they have a plan to work toward being stronger and getting through whatever they're going through. Um, and we'll focus on some of those things later. People focus on their strengths, and that does help build your confidence. So, all of those things is important to build your resilience and strength. Every person is a beam of light, really, right? We're all magical and unique in our own way, and there is a process that we each have to go through to build that resilience. So, let's talk for a minute about trauma. Um, you might be at a certain stage in your life where you're going through something with a job or a person, or you might be facing some issue with yourself. Um, it's part of the human condition. And the way that we process those things and interpret can determine whether or not something is traumatic. So please remember, just be gentle with yourself and know that, you're not expected to deal with things as everyone else is. So if you have trauma, you can really remember something that I say in my book, which is to be honest with yourself. If you've used my self-help workbook, Emotional Strength Explained, you'll see that there's many ways you can build this, but the first way to build your resilience is to be honest. So in my book, you'll go through different steps. You'll take honest look at yourself and your beliefs. You will take micro steps to change things on your own for yourself. It's really a great way to give back to yourself. And when you've been through trauma, loss or grief, or a situation that you really just lost your control over, one of the things you can really do is be mindful of what you're feeling. So let's just remember that it's normal to feel afraid, angry, or numb after a traumatic experience. You might have trouble concentrating or remembering things. You might have difficulty sleeping or eating. You might eat too much or you might sleep too much. Sometimes depression will come out in different ways as well. You might feel stressed. People have said that they feel, you know, quick to anger, or they've, been on edge lately, yelling at other people and they don't know why. Well, that can be depression or anxiety coming out, and it could stem from some traumatic event. So, when we've gone through a traumatic event, our brains operate in a self-protection mode, and if you've ever looked into that, you might know that you either fight, flight, or freeze. So, one of the things to do is be aware and know what's happening. Um, and remember, every feeling is normal. So, if you're feeling afraid or angry or numb, it's good to put time to focus on what your feelings are. And usually that is the first step in getting to some real progress. Um, so, trauma is going to affect the way you interpret and react to things, and each person is different. I work with youths who have been through trauma, and each one of them is a little bit different in how they process. One one youth may act out in aggression, another might yell, and another might go run and hide. These are just three examples of how you know, a youth might process this trauma without realizing it. And it's self preservation, right? We all have needs. And so, what is the need that you have in that moment when you're recovering from trauma? How can you possibly be resilient and carefree when you're going through this difficult thing or you've been through something? Um, I've had many people that I talk to, people who've used my book as well. They've either been through something and they use it to recover because it really helps them getting to the root of the problem and getting to a better place. So just keep in mind, if you've been through something that is traumatic to you, that is trauma, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So we've talked about being resilient. We've talked about trauma. Um, again, I want to stop a moment and let you know that if you're so low and in a place where you feel you need some real help. My show is not gonna do it, right? You can't do it alone. So please reach out for help, ask for help. There's free counseling services. There is 24/7 help. You can visit my website, um, aliciapizzoni.com, ALICIAPOZSONY.com. There's some resources there. Um, because again, if you are alone and in need, you're not alone, and you can get that help to move to that next step. We're all a work in progress. Um, so so feelings, right? So how are you? Are you fine? Is that what you tell people? Is that what you're really feeling? I know for myself, I don't like that. People say, "How are you?" I say, "Good," or I say, "It's Wednesday." I say it's, something to kind of lend itself to my real feeling, because then I'm not cheating myself. I'm not lying about it, but I'm not giving you, "Yeah, I had the worst day ever," or "I just couldn't get motivated today." And, again, everything we're facing in the world today, it seems like we're constantly hit with something else. And, over time, this is nothing new. Societies have been hit with different things throughout the last few centuries we know of. That's why it's so important to have the right resources and tools and techniques. So when you feel stressed, you might have trouble sleeping, you might be in a bad mood, you may have other uncomfortable feelings. If you have somebody with you, ask them, "Hey, do I seem my normal self?" And if they say no, understand that within just a few days, you can get through that tough time and feel like yourself again if you look at it, right? Anxiety is something that does take longer. It doesn't go away in a week or two. Um, if you are feeling on edge, or keyed up, like you're moving constantly or can't stop the motor running inside of you, right? If you're worrying about things you can't control, maybe you're feeling tired or irritable, you can't focus. Physical attributes for anxiety and stress, like if you have aches and pains, your neck, shoulder, or jaw, maybe you have upset stomachs, you know, different things can come out in different ways. And I just want you to be mindful that, that could very well be anxiety. When anxiety is severe, you have panic attacks, and I speak from experience on this. Um, Panic attacks may come on suddenly. Someone with a panic attack might experience fear, an extreme fear, along with sweating, shaking, choking sensations, pain or tightness in the chest, nausea, dizziness, confusion. Some people say they feel like something really bad is going to happen. Maybe they won't feel like they'll have a heart attack or die. Um, but panic attacks are not uncommon. They're usually the result of not feeling the feelings and dealing with the imbalances that cause anxiety, right? So the worry when you have panic attacks, you worry it's going to happen again and it's out of your control. So, again, call your doctor or, you know, go to the emergency room if you feel like you're going to have a heart attack, okay? Um, because a panic attack is intense and it reaches the peak 10 to 20 minutes and then, it'll reduce, right? So eh, the difference with a heart attack, anyway, I'm not a medical professional, so again, if you have to really determine, is this anxiety or panic or is this a heart attack? So keep that in mind. Um, if you're going through stress, anxiety, and panic, you might, drink caffeine, you might smoke, you might look for energy drinks or any dietary way that you might think of that's going to help you to stay alert and be aware. But that's really not what you want to do. You want to cut down and try to stop using any stimulants like caffeine found in sodas, coffee, tea, um, any nicotine, any epinephrine. There's energy drinks and other dietary aids that might be stimulants. Instead, be mindful and make a list. Are you getting a restful night's sleep? Is your room dark and cool at night? Do you have um, a light snack or warm milk you can have before bed? I know it sounds silly, right? Brings us back to like our childhood or our kids. Um, but it really does help to settle your body at night. um, Keep to a routine at night. The small routines are helpful, as well. If you are in, you know, exercise is good. So if you can exercise or move, 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week can help lower stress and lessen symptoms. So put on some music, go for a walk, look out in nature, walk down your street if you have a sidewalk, if it's safe. If not, go to a park, and you can talk to people about your stressors because I guarantee you're not the only one. If you believe in, faith and church, there's usually different groups that do go for walks regularly. Look into that. Who knows? Maybe you can start a new habit to reduce your stress, anxiety, and panic. So so you know, that's the overall, idea, right? And making these changes, doing these things are going to help you be more resilient because you're going to say, "Hey, I had panic attacks last month, and I've done things now to become more confident and more resilient." And it does work. So if you can be honest and open and face those challenges, um, you'll avoid some other problems that might come about in your life, such as addiction. Um, Addiction is more than just drugs or alcohol. Addiction is when that thing becomes the major focus in your life, and when it gets to the point that you don't do other things or it harms you or someone else. physically, mentally, or socially. 1 in 7 Americans ages 12 and older has a substance abuse problem. Think about that. 1 in 7 age 12 and older, you know, less than 11% of people in need get treatment. This can happen at anyone at any time. 9 out of 10 people who misuse or are addicted to drugs and alcohol began before 18. Um, so when we look at addiction, think about this. You could be addicted to work. You could work 12 to 14 hours a day. You could hide your credit card bills from your spouse if you're spending too much, too often. You might be thinking about your body image and you might be exercising too much. You might be doing other things like getting plastic surgery. Um, if you have an addiction to objects, you might not be able to get away from them. A lot of the kids today are gaming and they are, addicted to it. You'll see it if they react, inappropriately or extremely when they have to stop or when they're not winning. Same thing with gambling. There's gambling websites. It's so easy now to gamble, and if you feel like you can't walk away from that gambling, that invitation to go to the casino or to play online, then you might have an addiction. What about our phones and our devices? Um, any kind of, addiction to an object such as our phones. You have the moms checking their Facebook feeds or the everybody checking Instagram and there's Snapchat, you got all, Twitter. I can't even keep up with as many social outlets that we have. And, they can be good, but again, if it's something where your family's telling you, "Oh, you're on your phone again," or if you can't put a rule in place that you don't use your phone at dinner, if you find you can't come home without cracking open an alcoholic beverage, right? Just give it some thought because if that addiction becomes a major focus of your life, it's going to cause um, problems. So if you if you have an addiction problem or if you know someone who has an addiction problem, um, the keep in mind, brain changes actually occur with addiction. So they need continuing long-term care. So if you or someone know there's a National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services helpline, you can call 1-800-662-4357. So then the substance abuse or addictive behavior, call 1-800-662-HELP. That's 4357. Um, so keep in mind if one of your parents had this behavior, which is addictive, if one of your parents had it, or if you come from a family of history with conflict, aggression, ongoing stressors, or if you have a parent with depression or mental health issues, this makes you have a higher risk for addictive behaviors. Um, so what do we look for? You pay attention when someone you care about becomes obsessed with an activity, a substance, an object, or behavior. Um, you look to see, does the person seek it out even when it causes problems? Maybe they don't go to work anymore. Maybe they don't want to study. Maybe they have conflicts with their friends or family because they're not interacting the same. um, is the person doing something over and over or says they can't stop? Um, and keep in mind, people, this can be a simple Sudoku, thing, or, always reaching for that Facebook. Those are also addictions which cause brain changes for self-destructive behaviors. So keep it in mind. Um, if the person doesn't feel in control of that thing, obviously that's gonna do it, but they may not talk about it or admit it. If they hide it or deny it, if they experience a blackout, if they have mood swings or are depressed, if they neglect activities that were once really important, if they have a change in appearance, eating habits, or energy, and again, there's a whole host of things to look for, and usually it's a combination of things, right? But again, I don't want to spend too much time. If you or someone you know could be misusing substances or has symptoms of addictive behavior, you can get help. You can call the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline, 1-800-662-4357. So that's one thing that, is going to help you. Um, Now, I've gone over, 20 minutes or so we've spent talking, and thanks so much for staying with me and listening. Um, in our lives, we are so complex and diverse. Um, Everyone has to do so much, right? Our kids have to go to work and, go to school and have activities. Adults, we have to work and provide for our families. Um, you know, when you become a parent, you have additional worry and responsibilities, not only emotionally but financially, physically, and there's so many things that we have to be resilient for. So keep in mind, we're going to talk more about all of these wonderful ways to be resilient, dealing with things, whether it's medical, whether it's, mentally, things that affect you, whether it's relating to, aging or things that really affect you. It's something that, you know, we're really happy to be able to have these conversations. So many people have reached out and who really can't use to be a little more productive and happier. Um, our life today is very fast paced, and as well, we have so many things changing. There's so many issues today, right? We have the health issues, we have diversity and inclusion issues, we have community issues, racial issues. We have you know, there's different wellness issues, too. Again, I feel like there's so many things we can do to get support and be healthy and thrive, and that's what this, show is about. It is about giving you helpful information. It's about giving you what you need to take the steps to become more resilient, um, to check yourself and do that self-care that you've wanted to do, you just don't know how. It's a way that you can help give focus, be intentional about your self-care, and, really, it's something that is going to help you. My show is airing every Saturday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. um, Remember, you're not alone in this. You don't have to go through it, you can grow through it. And I know that, we've gone through a lot of information quickly today, but it's definitely something that I want everyone to be aware of. Um, you're not alone, and you can take the action in small steps to really help yourself and find your way to become better, to have a happier life, and to get beyond those things that are holding you back. So reach out to me. I'm available on my website, aliciapizzani.com. That's ALICIAPOZSONY, aliciapizzani.com. I also have the book that's available, Emotional Strength Explained. It's on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, as well as on my website. I'm also working with a licensed professional counselor on a sub-series of books for emotional strength. The next one that will be released is for kids ages 5 to 7. It is going to be a wonderful tool for adults, parents, caregivers to work with their children, to help them become more emotionally strong and self-regulate. So I'm going to do another show on self regulation, and I hope you join in each week. You don't have to just go through it, you can grow through it. With Resilient You with Alicia Pisani and Emotional Strength Explained, available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and on my website, www.aliciapisani.com.